Hello, everybody. I hope you're enjoying yourselves and loving everything of who you are and everything that you are consisted of. As always, please like, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear what you think of these channeled messages and if they transpire anything inside of you and how you feel towards them. This one that came in, even as I was writing it, I was like, wow, this one's really deep. So here we go. I am in all things that have and will exist. Finding me is not meant to be difficult. Us humans are the ones that make it challenging. Why do we do such things? We believe we have all the intellect and knowing why what is. This is only a slight bit of the truth. All things come from spirit. This is where I come from. Being too dependent on matter will remove you from knowing how to tap into the eternal. The eternal is where all come from. This is where I come from. I am remembering again what resides within. To find the eternal, many things of the material must be let go of, to only find the all-knowing of the eternal. Yeah. I am in all things that have and will exist. I would think spirit, it has a consciousness. It could be the consciousness of our reality that we're inside of, that it's knowing who we are. It's always with us. It's always listening to us. It's always with our movements. Whatever we are doing, the spirit is with us. Finding me is not meant to be difficult. Us humans, I think that now talking about us, obviously, us humans are the ones that make it challenging. When you walk into a room and you're looking for an object, whatever the object is, say a certain mug that you want to drink out of, right? And you're looking all over. Meanwhile, it's sitting on the counter right in front of you. That is how I feel towards finding me is not meant to be difficult. It's sitting right there in front of us. It's always been there right in front of us. But we're having this challenge of finding something that is not meant to be challenging. We just overlook this whole entire thing that is blatantly in front of us. And then when we go back to that analogy, we find that mug, and we're like, what the fuck were we doing? Why the fuck couldn't I find that mug? Like, it was sitting right in front of me. Well, we couldn't find it because we're making it so hard, because we have these racing thoughts like, where's the mug? Where's the mug? Where is it? Meanwhile, the mug was sitting right there in front of you. And it's the same thing as this spirit, this all-knowing consciousness. It's sitting with us at all times, but we are the ones racing around trying to find something that has been sitting there right in front of us the entire time. Why do we do such things? We believe we have all the intellect and knowing why what is. This is only a slight bit of the truth. We believe we have all the intellect. Yeah, and I think that's something that our society really pushes, in a sense, where it's just like, say if you're a master, which I don't believe there is masters. This is something I don't think there is. I think we're just teachers and students. I don't think there's an actual master. Because even the master is still learning. So if the master is still learning, are they even a master? Right? Like, you have to think about that, where they talk about these ascended masters. Meanwhile, most of these ascended masters were still constantly learning, because the environment they were inside of, the people they were around, was providing them new information to learn about, to understand. So they were just a teacher. is really what they were. I don't believe any of us are masters. I think that is a egoic standpoint, to be honest. I think someone who claims themselves to be a master of any sorts is standing in a very egoic standpoint, because that means you don't think you have more space to learn. That sounds like you're ignorant. That sounds like you're not trying to expand and to learn about more things that are out there. And that goes into the intellect, and we think we know why something is functioning the way it does. Meanwhile, there is infinite amount of ways to perceive one single object, one single idea. So if we think we know why something is working, but then we go ask somebody who's never seen it before or worked with it before, whatever the object is, and then they give a whole different fucking perspective of something, and it's just like, whoa, I never thought of that. That's showing that you don't truly know what is, which is why we're always meant to be learning, and that leads into, this is only a slight bit of the truth. We can't hold ourselves to thinking that we know exactly what's taking place. I think once we hold ourselves to thinking we know exactly what's taking place, we are then taking an approach of, it's almost like we're taking an approach of limitation, even though it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like we're taking an approach of limitation. So if we think we know how something is functioning, but in reality it's not actually functioning that way, we're taking a position of limitation. All things come from spirit. This is something I firmly believe, that all things that have been created and will be created comes from spirit, comes from consciousness. It's the same thing, comes from all that has been. It's implying the same thing, that what we're creating in this reality of our world is coming from something that is in the unseen, which I would apply to the spirit. Other people have different words to it, but it's all synonyms to each other. This is where I come from. So what I think is trying to be said here is, this is where I come from. So who's coming into me is coming from that place of spirit. And I think it's also trying to tell us that we too come from that place. It's almost like they're trying to speak to us through our physical form, to remind us that that's what's taking place. Yeah. Being too dependent on matter will remove you from knowing how to tap into the eternal. This is something that is so heavily played out in our time of existence right now, is that many people are so hell-bent on matter that it's taking them away from the essence of where we actually come from and how we're meant to be connecting to something, which is the eternalness, the limitless, the no end and no beginning. But if we are so attached to this material world, we're missing out on the component of what we all come from. Go back to the previous line. This is where I come from. All things come from spirit. All things come from the eternal. So if we are not also trying to connect to the eternal, we're missing out on a portion of an equation of what we live inside of. The eternal is where all comes from. Exactly. All comes from the eternal. Everything comes from the eternal in this reality. We are connected to the eternal in this reality. That's not to say in a different dimension, in a different reality, that the connection point is different. It very well could be. But in this reality, the one that we're inside of right now, is connected to the eternal, to the all-knowing. This is where I come from. Back to again. The eternal is also associated to this being that is where they come from, which is where we also come from. It's almost speaking that we are one, that we are exactly the same. I am remembering again what resides within. Now, this is interesting. It's almost like it was not made to forget, but it forgot something. And now that it's coming back to it, it's remembering what was within itself. And it's maybe that's what this whole message is about. That this message is trying to tell us that it's remembering where it comes from, and that it wants to tell everybody else that this is where it comes from, along with us. Like, we too come from here. So it's speaking to all of us in its own way of speaking about its own existence, which is our existence. So it's very beautiful that it's being able to speak to us in such a way that it's also sparking our own remembrance of who we truly are on the inside. To find the eternal, many things of the material must be let go of, to only find the all-knowing of the eternal. Oh, this is something, man, I've been living out for many years, which is letting go of the material. And all of its connections to the material. Many things I'm letting go of, and I have to let go of it. Because if I don't let go of the eternal, or if I don't let go of the material, I'm not going to be able to connect to the eternal and the portions that I know to be true out there. Yeah, it's a thing, man. It's a real thing that we have to really be able to, especially if you're trying to find truth, if you're trying to find knowledge, if you're trying to get to those places, you have to be willing to let go of this material world. You have to be able to release things that you are attached to. And I'm still doing it. There's parts of me that I still have to let go of. And things I have to let go of. It's a continuous process. That's why I'm always a student. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to remember as much as I can. Yeah, it's difficult in the beginning when you start letting go and releasing these things from your being, from your essence. But the more times you do it, it truly does. It's a very beautiful process, because you know when you do let go of it, what you're going to be filled with, and it's something that you are in search of. What you're seeking will be provided back to you. It's just how much are you willing to release in order to find. And each of us have our own different missions in this life and understandings in this life that we're trying to attain. So each person's level is going to be different, which is why we're meant to accept and love and appreciate each and every person, because all of our ventures in this life is still an accumulation of being together, of being one with each other. No matter if you're evil or good, it doesn't make a difference anymore. That's the point that we're supposed to be getting to, is that each of us are playing out a role, and each role is vitally important to the whole thing. Yeah, it's almost like once we get past these points of understandings, it's on our ventures, whoever we are, you just start to realize, like, why am I attaching myself to these understandings of evil? Like, why am I getting upset at it? Meanwhile, these understandings of evil has actually brought me deeper understanding of compassion, deeper understanding of love. And if I keep on getting angry at evil, am I really overcoming something and actually being able to fill myself with more love? No, I'm not. So I have to be able to see that the evilness that is here is actually providing me the abilities to see more, to be a part of more. Yeah. So, everybody, that's the end of this message. I hope you enjoy yourself. I hope you love yourself. I hope you are taking on every step that you're going into with joy, with love and compassion, and knowing that you're able to find something that you're in search of. And if you need to release something, know that you're releasing it with love. You're releasing it with the understanding that you're going to be filled back with something that you're looking for. Don't be scared. And if you are scared, accept it. Accept that this is what's taking place and this is what you're moving through. But don't hold on to it. Release it. Detach yourself from the emotions. Especially if they're not providing you the fullness that you know that you're meant to be filled with. Yeah. Once again, thank you, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you are finding what you're looking for. Love you guys.